Hello, friend, and welcome to this episode of SpeechGoods. I am so excited for our guest today. And not only is Marie going to be sharing lots of no fluff, doing the dang thing information, SLP stuff, and even outside of SLP, because she has an amazing history and story, and I can't wait for you to hear it. But fun fact, I also went to graduate school and graduated with Marie. She knew me whenever I was not even a budding CF yet. I've actually referred to her and some of her words of wisdom previously on this show about how I didn't accept a lowball CF pay offer. One of the things Marie always told me was that Louis Vuitton does not go on sale, which I believe when we talked, she said that we should change it to Chanel now. You'll have to see when we get to the interview, but you're absolutely going to love her. So let me tell you a little bit about her. So Marie is a licensed speech language pathologist with a graduate degree in speech pathology from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, aka your girl's alma mater. She also possesses the National Accreditation Certificate of Clinical Competency from ASHA, our favorite people. She is a recent graduate of the MYO method, an oral-facial myofunctional therapy course, and she is also a private practice owner currently going through the credentialing process. She has also created My Speech Sounds, which are a line of coloring books designed to accompany therapy by providing simple practice steps at the word, phrase, and sentence levels. I actually remember her talking about this idea when we were in graduate school, so it's super cool that it came to fruition for her. She also works with myofunctional therapy, early intervention, pediatrics, and multicultural aspects, since she is also half Asian and grew up in a bilingual home. And those are just a few of her clinical interests. Prior to becoming an SLP, Marie had two previous careers, which you're going to hear about in the interview as well. Her first career and love was actually fine jewelry. Isn't that cool? So growing up, she often accompanied her mother to gem shows, and then her mother would draw out designs and have these items made by jewelers that were close friends of hers, family that were overseas. After spending approximately 7 years in fine jewelry professionally and even owning her own small jewelry store, she changed careers and went into finance. Now, can't you see why I wanted to have her on this episode? So Marie actually landed a position as a financial specialist and was promoted to a small business licensed financial specialist with a large national bank based out of North Carolina. This girl was like hot stuff. She wore business suits and things, like seriously. And in this role, she acquired a Series 6 and 63 investment and insurance licenses. The girl had licenses. And with a focus on small business, she handled businesses ranging from $0 to $3 million in annual revenue. Being a one point of contact for business owners meant helping them manage their deposit accounts, lines of credit, commercial property lending, equipment leasing, like a lot of the stuff I can't even say, y'all, as well as investment needs such as SEP IRAs and 401k plans for their employees, along with personal banking needs as well. If SEP IRA is something foreign to you, that is a retirement option or retirement account option for individuals who are self-employed or business owners. And also, she talks about how the link between all these careers she loved the most was building relationships with clients and making them feel valued. Isn't that what we do every day? When she found speech pathology, she knew she had found her home, a career where she could build a myriad of skills and a variety of settings to choose from. And after experiencing acute care, SNFs, private practice, and the school system, she finally decided to follow her heart and take the leap into private practice and being a business owner again. Whew. Okay, what an amazing bio. I'm gonna stop talking now because we're gonna get into all of the juicy goosey things whenever you see the interview with Marie. Let's go do the dang thing. Hello, Marie. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
Yes.
Personally, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Before I let Marie talk, I have to tell everybody. So Marie, she's not like this crazy Instagram SLP. There's no a lot of times I'll have people, other people in the SLP field, with online businesses or that have, big social media and all this stuff. Marie is actually, we went to graduate school together. We both graduated for SLP graduate school in 2016. And I've actually referenced Marie, not by name, on this podcast before when I'm basically talking about being confident and doing the dang thing and being awesome. So if you are a fan of this podcast, if you've ever heard me tell the story, number one, about how there was that friend in grad school whose experience who helped me negotiate my salary as a CF, that this is her. This is her. As you just listen to her bio, she's done so many things, and we're going to let her, I'm going to stop talking in a second and let her tell us a little bit about her story before she became an SLP. Another story you may have heard me talk about, Marie, is she would always say, like, because we would all be, you know, we're all new grads, like we're all, you know, I was like 24, never, you know, my last job, it was babysitting.
Baby.
Yes. And so we were all like trying to figure out what we wanted to get paid and blah, blah, blah. And one thing that Marie said that I will never forget was, girl, Louis Vuitton does not go on sale. No, and this is the one thing that has stuck with me forever. And I've told that story before, but if you've heard me tell that story, this is the girl, this is the girl or woman, you're a woman. But anyways, so I'm just so excited to talk to you because you've been through such a non-traditional route to becoming an SLP. And we're going to get into this later too, when we start chit-chatting, but like you've been in, you know, I talk all the time about female dominated fields and some of the difficulties we have as women with making money and charging for worth. And you've actually been in those male dominated fields and killed it. And so I just cannot wait for everyone to get your perspective on a lot of the topics that we talk about a lot on this podcast. Okay, I'm going to chill out. I'm just really excited about this episode. So Marie, tell us what makes you and your SLP journey so unique.
I don't know. I feel like so many of you guys, you know, it was like straight through, you know, you discovered it when you were an undergrad, and then you got your bachelor's in it, and you're like hustling to get into grad school and, you know, take your GRE and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of beauty in that. Man, when I was in my 20s, I wish that I was that determined and focused. I was not. I wanted to have a good time. Like, as a matter of fact, the first time I was in school, I had a very good friend who was a speech path major at a school here in North Carolina, East Carolina. Go Pirates. And she was stressed out all the time. She studied her patukas off and she was amazing and whatnot. But, you know, I was like, man, I do not have the focus for that. But what I do have is a different group of friends that I drink with every night. And so every night it would be like, hey, we haven't seen you in a week. Can we go out and drink? And I'd be like, but I really need to rest or study or something. And they would be like, but we haven't seen you. And I would be like, okay. So, and I was not in a sorority. I was not the sorority type. Yeah. I did have somebody tell me one time that they were surprised that I wasn't in a sorority, which I was really flattered by that. You know, I was like, oh, that's so nice. I was like, yeah, they never wanted me, but that's okay. So, so for me, really my first career coming out of school was fine jewelry. So have jewelers in the family. You don't know this about me, but Danny probably can tell you I have a lot of crazy jewelry, like crazy expensive jewelry.
Yeah, like everybody, like Marie has and that's why I was like, I just gotta get her on the podcast. Like but I love it. Like you have this very high standard for yourself, and not in a snooty way, and not in a I'm better than you way, but just like this is what I like, and I'm gonna do what I need to do to get what I like, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like,
no, I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is I don't even know how to articulate it, but I think that we all need to be okay with having our standards for ourselves and not putting our standards off onto other people, like meeting people where they are. I think that is important, not just in our personal life, but I think it's important in our business life too, with our clients and stuff. I digress. That's a soft skill. that we should all have that they also don't teach you in grad school. But anyway, so yeah, my first career was fine jewelry. I really wanted to be a jewelry buyer, but I didn't want to move away to Chicago or anything like that. So I actually was gifted a certain amount of money, and I had my own business at 21. I opened up my own jewelry store, and I signed a year lease, and it was a big fat failure, and I learned a lot, and I was just really way too young. I was really way too young. I really wasn't prepared to be away from home. I went to Tennessee. I'm from North Carolina, and I was with family there, but it was just really, I bit off more than I could chew. So I moved back home, and I went to work for a pretty large family-owned jewelry chain. There was 101 stores. So I worked there, and it's a very male-dominated field, mostly men. And our store, I worked for a manager who, we had something called, whenever you meet your goals, your monthly goals, which is your sales goals, and your margin goals. So how much is your margin? So yes, you might sell a lot, but if you're discounting things heavily to get to that number, the company's not profitable. So you also have to meet that margin, that profitability level, which, let me tell you, they hammered us for that. And I think part of the reason that they hammered my manager for it was because she was female, and it's a male dominated field. And
Which is interesting because I feel like jewelry is typically for women, but continue. I find that very interesting, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, I would even have customers sometimes come in. Like we had hired this older gentleman, tall, white hair, very patronly, status type person, and people would naturally gravitate towards him. But then they were asking him very technical questions that he didn't know, and I was the one that had a lot of gemology training through GIA, which is the Gemological Institute of America, who designed the grading scale that we all use in the diamond and jewelry stores, the 4 C's. And I'm Diamond Council of America certified diamondologist and all this kind of stuff. But I have a lot of background knowledge on colored stones, and even differences on diamonds, like where the rough is from. Like you typically get a more brilliant diamond that comes from the Arctic tundra than you do from a warm South African climate. Mm-hmm. Even though they're both still the same, but just because of the way that the molecules compress. Anyway, so I mean, it happens a lot. And then they would always be like surprised whenever he would refer to me for the technical questions. That was interesting. But I feel like it's almost one of these things, like, as part of our society, it's like, oh, well, you're older and male, you must be the wisest one of the tribe.
Yeah, you must be the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so you were also in, which is, I think it'd be even more fascinating, you were also in like the banking and finance industry, which is not just male dominated, but much more cutthroat.
Yes, it definitely is. Yeah. So I was a small business licensed financial specialist, which means that I handled small businesses from 0 to 3 million in annual revenue, and had a couple of businesses that were like 5 or 6 million in annual revenue, because they were really just some settled older gentlemen that didn't want to talk to anybody but me. They would tell their office person, "Have you taken the deposit yet?" "No, I haven't, Mr. Smith." "Well, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the deposit." And then they would come by and they would see me in my office and be like, "Have you had lunch yet?" "No, sir." So it's, relationship building is a big part of that. But yeah, definitely, where I would have been some of my counterparts be like, "You're not structuring, this loan this way," or you need to, especially on the investment side, because my investment license was geared to be partnered with a financial advisor. because they're the ones that have like a Series 7 license, and your Series 7 license is your stockbroker license. So those are the heavy hitters. So my license was a Series 6. So I was able to do mutual funds and things like that. And, sometimes I would come to them for advice, and it always seemed to kind of worm its way into kind of stepping in on my client and overstepping. So it was definitely a place where I had to learn how to set boundaries very quickly, and you have to set very strong boundaries. And I think that it's kind of hard for us as women because I think that we're kind of geared to not really have boundaries or be very helpful. Don't rock the boat, but be helpful. Oh, well, you can do that this one time. No, you can't.
Yeah. Can you tell us, like, in thinking back, like a specific story or example of where you had to kind of like set some boundaries with one of your male coworkers?
We need that data. I need to be able to see that, to see what is going on, because I cannot chase all the things all the time. You have to pick and choose. So I've already got a ton of kids that I've got to test and everything, or retest. And of course, those are going to be the most important things to do. But I think definitely being able to build that relationship where you can, if you've already got other kids that are in their class, giving them updates, asking them what they're seeing. But I think one of the things that we all really lack in general, and I don't know if it's just to like maintain that level of professionalism, but it's okay to ask people about themselves or about their family. Like, how are you doing?
In the
And
work
taking,
environment.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you would be surprised how far a small compliment goes towards making somebody's day. That might be the only nice thing that they've heard all day long. Like, oh, your smile is it's so nice to see you smile. You have the most beautiful smile. Your shoes are so nice. Just something small like that. I mean, an initial positive interaction is paramount. If you have a negative initial reaction, I think it takes something like 18 to 20 positive reactions to like overcome that one negative interaction. So I think that that's something that we all need to keep in mind too. Just that we should all remember that we are people, even though we have boundaries, and that it's okay to have boundaries. I think that it sets up healthy guidelines for everybody's working relationship. I just think that it was just really difficult because we all get set in our ways, right? So I think that was part of what was difficult for them.
Well, I think I like that you brought that up because it's like, I think people have a hard time with like, oh, I'm going to piss someone off if I set a boundary, or I'm going to upset them, or I'm going to destroy that relationship. But I think, and this is something when I used to work at like a summer camp as a camp counselor, they always talk about like putting money in the bank, because they always said that about with kids. And I'm like, with adults, it's the same thing. And first of all, who doesn't love to talk about themselves? Hi. Like, because nobody ever asks you about you. Everybody wants to talk about themselves, right? If you're the one person that actually gives a crud, but you'll stand apart. But anyways, but they would talk about putting money in the bank and how, like, they were like, you are going to have to take money out at some point. That's like if you're disciplining them, correcting them, or telling them something that they don't want to hear. Like at one point I had a camper, she was trying to walk out there with short, like little Daisy Duke short shorts. And I was like, no, you can't do that. But it's just like putting money in the bank. You need to intentionally be putting money in the bank, because especially with work relationships, and if you are setting boundaries, you might have to take some withdrawals at some point and tell them no. But if you're intentional about getting to know them, and you don't just sit there. Like, I never went in the teacher's lounge. Like, I mean, I went in there for like birthdays, or like I'd say I did intentional teacher lounge time. But it doesn't have to be like hours of your day. Like, it can be a very quick conversation. And I think people forget that. And also being conscious of that when you go into a new environment, of like, you need to be putting money in the bank. Like you need to
Yeah.
be building those relationships, because at some point, especially with work, especially like with the nature of how SLPs are in like the school system, you were probably going to be asked to do something that is not your job or whatever it is. And you have to be able to make those decisions.
I absolutely did. They tried to get me on afternoon hall duty. All right. I had given in and did morning duty, which I was fine with morning duty because I really enjoyed watching the kids come in. I left private practice and went to a school system for community. I went there so I could impact kids that were not on my caseload. And so I hugged kids. I didn't know who they were, but they came in every morning and would get their hug from me. And I was happy to hug them. I don't even know what I would do in COVID if I was still there, because I would be like, I love you.
Yeah, elbow tap.
Elbow. Tap, tap, buddy. And so it's just, it's just very, very different now. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Train's left.
We're talking about putting money in the bank and community and how, so like you're talking about afternoon duty, which you did the morning duty, which was kind of a way of like, I'm going to put some money in the bank.
Absolutely. And I was asked to do this, thank you, this afternoon duty. That's what happens after you've had a toddler, ladies, just in case y'all don't know. Sometimes the train leaves the station. So I was like, okay, I will do this afternoon duty in the stairwell. I did it for about a week. And then I was like, I am so backed up on my notes. I cannot do this. So I went to my principal's office and I said, look, I cannot do afternoon duty. Well, the SLP we had before you did. I said, that's fantastic. She's not here anymore. I'm here.
It wasn't a job. It wasn't a job requirement for you, correct?
Like, I don't know, not that I know of. But I told her, I said, this is why I can't do this. I was like, I have therapeutic notes to complete. Okay. Teachers don't have therapeutic notes. I have therapeutic notes to complete. That is my license that is on the line. If you are not worried about me having my license, I will gladly put all my bills over in your bank account and move into your house. And that'll be it. I'll happily do the duty. So if anything happens, and you can put me on your retirement plan and everything else. And it'll be great.
Did you actually say that to her?
I did. You did? And I used to say that to my clients at the bank that would ask me to do things that I would get in trouble for. I'll be like, I already have your bank account. I'm going to put my auto drafts in over there before I do that. So if I get in trouble, I can cook. I'm moving into your house.
I love it. I love it. Love it. And the fact that you
how people don't want someone else to just randomly move into their house or pay their bills. I don't understand. I'm a good cook.
Like recognizing like helping them to understand. I think as people, sometimes we expect people to automatically see something from our point of view.
Yes.
And it's like, no, actually, most people don't really care about your point of view, especially when they're trying to accomplish a task.
Yes.
So a lot of times, like if you don't stick up for yourself and show them, they're just gonna keep, and it's not because they're bad people.
No,
like especially in the school system, everybody that works in a school is stressed out and has too much work to do. People are just, we're just living our lives and do what we got to do. Like, okay, I see this kid, I gotta do this thing, I gotta get this paper.
Yep.
So so you have to sometimes stop someone and be like, hold up, I have an issue, let's chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's also a big thing on filling up that bucket. Like whenever you do tell somebody no, you have to tell them why you have to give them reasoning behind it. So you don't want them to walk away just completely feeling invalidated. That's not a good feeling. Okay. No, I can't do this. And this is why I can't do this. Has this step completed? Has this step been completed? No. Can you work on these so that way we can get to this point here? Okay, I understand that you're requesting that, but these other pieces in the chain have to be completed before we get to this step over here. And I think, that's something that we all kind of need to remember, even like whenever we're talking to our clients and we're done testing someone's kiddo, like you have to be cognizant of that people that are receiving that information from you. they might be overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I always do with my parents, even during IEP meetings. I always did this even with my clients in banking. Like I would just check in on them and be like, are you feeling overwhelmed right now? But I've just thrown a lot of information at you. Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to process that. Or would you like to call me later on if you come up with some other questions, or anything like that? Shoot me an email. But I think that that's one of the things that we often forget, because I think for all of us, as no matter what field you're in, whenever you do throw a lot of information at your clients, your customers, your patients, girl, I have a hard time saying patients, my patients. They're still clients.
When you're in the schools, like I had the same thing. When you're in the schools, it like that doesn't even occur to you.
No, it's my kiddos. I got this kiddo over here.
Yeah, like kiddos, clients, like, yeah, you're good. You're totally good. Well, and I think that's a really important thing to highlight. And that's another reason I wanted to have you on the show, was that you got all these, you mentioned like soft skills in other jobs. And yet it's amazing how like they all still apply to being an SLP. Like, I mean, honestly, we're not going to get into all the woo woo, but like it just applies to like the human experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like being empathetic and everything towards people. So
yes, we had, I don't know if you knew this or not, because, they kind of kept us separate in school. You noticed that? It was like they couldn't have like Danny and Marie too close together. Like they needed to spread our voices.
They would. Oh, I noticed that. Like we were never, y'all, okay, we were never in the same group.
Yeah. We did presentations like in the same venues together, but they're like, oh, they need to be in stereo.
It was Marie, it was just too much fabulousness.
It was. They just couldn't handle it. All right. So first semester grad school, when we were in clinic, they are on campus, because they don't trust us to just go right out into the field and everything. They gotta make sure like they got to make sure that you know how to act right before they send you off campus and be like, they represent us. So anyway, when my clinical educator was parceling out her caseload to us, there was a gentleman who was on the more challenging side. So there were some cultural differences. He was from a different country. He was a high-level professional professor, didn't teach at our university, taught at another university, had a history of making clinicians cry. So understandably, she wanted to offer it out to everyone instead of just being like, hey, guess what? You are getting this client.
Here you go. Here you go. Like first, I mean, and everybody think back to your first semester of grad school when you had never done therapy before. I'm sorry, continue. We were in the same clinical group. Yes. Were we? I was with Miss Edwards too.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, it's coming. You guys are getting to hear us walk down memory lane a little bit as we discuss this. Okay. So give other clinicians cry. Okay.
Yeah. So, like I'm looking around at all these young ladies and you guys are all like, don't look at me. I'm not talking to him, and I'm just like, I'll take one for the team. I'll handle it. So I volunteered like a schmuck or whatever. That was my
volunteer as tribute. And that was literally like, as you're talking about it, Marie, it's coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me now. Amongst all the coffee and the late nights of that first semester, it's coming back to me.
Gosh. We were all living, what was it, 301?
Yeah, there was like one room that all the grad students would have our classes in.
It's 301 again. Here's my locker.
Yes. Oh gosh.
So yeah, like, I had him and and there was definitely some challenges, but I built a relationship with him. I would ask him how he slept. Like, I wanted to see how he was feeling. And even after a while, he asked me, he said, "Why do you always ask me how I sleep?" I said, "That's my way of showing that I care about how you're feeling." I said, "That lets me know if, you're well rested, you're probably having like a pretty good day." I was like, "But if you're not sleeping so good, you might be on the little, I mean, we all get cranky if we don't sleep so well, right?" So, and I would ask him about his family, and I would ask him about his mom and his dad, and, what, did he ever see himself like moving back home? And as someone who, I myself am, not full American, I'm half Asian and I have a lot of family overseas. So I still refer to my mom's country as home. Like, sometimes I think about going back. I refer to it as, when we go there, I'm going home, even though I was born here and technically never lived there except for my summer vacations. Okay. But, those are the things that we, that we talked about. And it goes a long way, just even asking like, "Hey, did you talk to your mom? How was your cat?" It just shows that you are investing in them as a person and not just face value of what you're getting out of them, how far are they progressing in, in against their goals and things like that. And the next semester, I guess she offered him up again, and the nice, sweet person in our cohort, it just didn't go so well. So yeah, so she was sent back to me to see what it was, because I had such a good relationship with him and he never made me cry. And I literally asked her, I was like, "Have you asked him about his family?" She said, "No." I said, "Did you ask him about his mom?" "No." "Did you know he has a cat?" "No." And I was just mind blown by this. I was like, what?
Well, and you have all this, like, and that's what I always thought was so, like, I was always so interested. Like, I was always so glad you were in our little cohort, because like you just had that real life experience, which like everything you're saying, like I guess I know that now, 6, 7 years later.
It didn't take you that long. You're warm and fuzzy, Danny.
But seriously, like I think that's super valuable, and I think that's good to know that that is across any field. And then especially when you're trying to like move up and form relationships and things like that. So here's my question for you. And I know we kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording. What are your views? Because it sounds like you don't struggle with it at all. And but I still want to hear your views. There's a big like the buzzword right now is imposter syndrome. Like I think there's actually an SLP doing like their PhD on it or something. What are your views on now? I'll say this. I mostly have read about and consumed information about imposter syndrome within the either within the SLP field, or vaguely I have an audiobook about imposter syndrome with women. Now I'm very curious your thoughts on this imposter syndrome thing, especially since you've just done so much more not in the SLP field, and you've also done so much not in a female dominated field. Yeah. So tell me your thoughts.
And I've been hearing so much about it, and sometimes I think maybe there's something wrong with me, because I don't feel like I got imposter syndrome. Like I feel like I'm capable. I have the knowledge. Once I have that knowledge, I'm good to go. Like I think, and men, they don't feel like they're an imposter on anything. They're all fake it till you make it. Man, my best friend, that's what he told me. He told me that at, I think I was like 22 years old. He was like, "Honey, you got to fake it till you make it." He was like, "They don't know that you don't know what you don't know." As
and you're like, and part of you wants to look at them and be like, okay, like that could potentially be a little unethical.
In this field, for sure. And it was, I will tell you, so like coming from jewelry, from fine jewelry, I knew everything. Like I knew about the jewelry making process. I knew where the rough, where the gemstones came from. I know what part of the world they come from. I know what company probably mined them. I know habit is, like what they look like when they come out of the ground and what cutters have to do. Like I knew all the details of it. And when I went into banking, I found out I was not going to know everything, and that was hard. And so that was a little bit easier transition into this field of you're not going to know everything. And that's okay. And it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to be like, I don't know. I don't know. I will do some research. Can I find someone that I will find someone that I can put you in touch with? And it just really saddens me that we have so many fantastic clinicians that I feel like it's a self-esteem problem, that they don't feel they don't feel worthy. Um, they don't feel worthy, or they don't feel competent. And I'm just like, I bet that you have like phenomenal GRE scores, didn't you? You know, and it's like my GRE score sucked. I had to take the GRE 3 times to get into grad school. And I had to spend $1,000 taking a class on telling me how to take the GRE. So I invested a lot of money in this. And it really, really does break my heart, because out of all of the fields that I've had, speech pathology is the most, oh, I'm almost going to cry, you guys. It's the best field ever. You can do anything. Okay, you can do anything. You can have your own business. You can work in a big institution. Like you can work with whatever population. You can choose what you want to specialize in, or specialize in nothing. Like there's so many different pathways. You just want to do swallowing, go just work on dysphagia. That's okay. You just want to work on dysphagia in adults. Hey, that's okay too. You want to just work in the NICU in little babies. Hey, that is great too. Those are all needs. And it's just like, whenever I hear, so many women, clinicians, people in our field, sorry, I'm not trying to like leave out any of the guys out there, because you guys are awesome and we need more men. All right. But it really breaks my heart, where that people are burned out or getting burned out. And I'm just like, I've had careers where I was hammered for numbers, and I mean hammered. Like every month, you're only as good as your last 30 days. That's it. When you're in a sales position, I mean, is it like fabulous to be walking around and you're selling like big ticket items? Yeah, it is. It makes you feel good. Does it sound nice to be able to tell people? Yeah. Is it hell to work in? It can absolutely be hell to work in. It was so stressful for me when I was working in finance. I had such a balance of goals that I had to make. Like I had deposit goals, I had new account goals, I had loan goals, and I had not just loan goals, but I also had like small business loan goals, because I had small business goals that I had to hit also with those deposit new accounts, deposit money, new money taken in. Investments. I had all these goals. I would beat my head against the wall in the shower to force myself to go into work. I have never done in this field. What I have done is driving in between appointments, even whenever I was frustrated with that. And I left private practice to go to the school system, and now I've left the school system to go back into private practice. I found myself sitting at a stoplight and thanking the Lord for my career. And I was grateful, and I am grateful for the clients I am able to work with, and the lives I am able to be a catalyst for change for, and the hope that I bring to families. And I think that those are all very, very worthy things. And I think that we should all be extremely proud of ourselves and what we represent to so many people in their lives. And not just our kids, but of the adults who have lost skills and have deficits, and we're able to bring them back to functionality. Maybe it may not be perfect, and maybe it's a new normal, but it's a whole lot better than where they were. And that is beautiful. And is it nice to sell somebody an engagement ring? Yeah. It's nice to be part of holidays and birthdays. But if I'm only good as my last 30 days, that kind of sucks. And that's stressful, And then you have your year over year goals, folks. You got those. Like the grass is not greener on the other side. You can work for yourself in this field. I mean, I'm in the process of starting my own private practice now because that's where I feel like I need to go now. That's how I need to grow. And working as a jeweler, could I do that? Yeah, I did that. I screwed it up the first time. That's okay. I failed. It's all right. I was never going to be able to open up my own bank. Like, and let me tell you, starting out, like, I got a job offer to work for an investment firm. That's great, but you have to build a book of business. Do you know how difficult that is being on the phone? Y'all don't even want to answer the phone for people that want to sell you a car warranty. How are you going to talk to people that want you to invest for your retirement? Like, y'all don't want to talk to them either. That's hard work.
Yeah.
Well, necessary work, but hard.
And like, even to go back to like how, I mean, you even got like a little emotional when you're talking about how much you love the field. The fact that you've been able to sustain a love for the field while setting boundaries. And I'm curious, do you feel that your ability to still love the field is because you set those boundaries and don't overwork and overexert yourself? Like, I'm not working when I'm not getting paid. Like, or I'm not taking a caseload of 100 kids on a school. Nope. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yes, for sure. You have to save something for yourself and for your family. I have a toddler. She's 26 months old and she is just the light of my life. And I want to do the best for her that I can. And I want to spend as much time with her as I can. And going into private practice is going to give me that flexibility. I was not ever going to get that with the school system. I was not going to get paid extra for all those extra IEP meetings early and late. Like, there wasn't any bonuses for any of that. Never going to happen. You get a pension at the end, but guess what? Things happen within governments and whatnot. And sometimes funds are mismanaged.
No way. And that's something I talk about. Like, we're actually, by the time this airs, the book will be out, but I actually have an ebook coming out about like money and finance. What is it? Like a money guide for self-employed SLPs. And one of the topics is retirement. And that, like, that's exactly the point I make, is like, people, you trust it, just because you're not involved in it, that means you're putting your future in the hands of someone else. So that means you're trusting them to do the right thing. And a lot of times, especially like if it's not a pension, a lot of times they just open this stinking account for you. Like, they open a 401k, they ain't putting anything in it. Like, you don't need them for that.
Yeah, no, you can do that on yourself.
Yes, a lot of people don't know. And this is in the ebook. You can open up your own 401k.
Yes, you sure can.
401k, but we'll get to all that later.
Yeah.
So you started your private practice. I do want to ask this, because you have business experience, money, finance, like all that stuff you're very comfortable with, which most SLPs are not.
Yes, I wish that they were. So thank you for putting the word out there and educating these ladies, because I'm just like, why don't we talk about taxes in high school? Is calculus really applicable to anything, people? Is taxes and personal finance? Oh, that would be yes. So we could have more contributing members to society and people making less mistakes. Oh, would that be terrible? I don't think so.
Or people like actually generating more income. Like, hello, but yeah, girl, we know. Whenever the recording's over, we talk about it. But shoot, where was I? Oh yeah. So you're about to start this private practice, and I really am curious, because there's actually a lot of SLPs that listen to the show that are interested in private practice, that is either something they're doing, want to do, or considering. What do you think is the difference between your mindset going into private practice versus like maybe an SLP who doesn't have your background and experience? And what's some advice that you would give someone who's just wanting to start out in their private practice?
Right. So some advice that I would give is to do it. All right. So I highly recommend, and I am totally not getting paid to say this, but I am totally a student in the Start Your Private Practice with the Independent Clinician with Jenna Castro Casbon. Shout out there, Jenna, if you're listening. Thank you, girl.
Oh, girl, I'm a proud affiliate with Independent Clinician. Like everybody, like I actually have like, if you like, I have a code for her course and you get like half off a one-on-one with me if you use my link to register for her course. Like I love her course. Like it's so like this, and yes, like I get paid if someone uses my link, but I'm so like,
I don't even know how I missed that. Dang it, Danny.
But yeah, like it's, first of all, it's easy to sell something you actually believe in, first of all. Yeah. And then I took her course too. But anyways, I digress. I love Jenna. She's best.
Well, it really is helpful. I already knew how to get an EIN number. I used to do that whenever I had to open up estate accounts. I was like,
you understood that, Pat.
Yeah. I was like, do. I knew how to open up a business account. I already knew the paperwork that I needed to do. Well, I will tell you that threw me for a loop for us here in North Carolina is that I couldn't just do an LLC. I had to do a PLLC, professional. So I had to send off for my certificate through the North Carolina Speech Language Board and get a certificate through them, and then submit the paperwork over to the Secretary of State's office. So that was great fun.
Oh, so anyone that's maybe opening up a private practice in North Carolina, think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you don't have to pay the attorney $500 to file for you.
No, yeah, my accountant did all that stuff for me for free because like he did it for free. Like it didn't take him that long at all.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do a PLLC, but sorry, I digress.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry. Me and Marie have a serious problem. Like it's funny, like we haven't talked since grad school, but like it's like
time has passed.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, everybody listening. We're back to serious. We're talking about private practice.
Yes.
What do you think is the difference between you and someone without business experience, and what's some advice that you would give to someone starting out? Sorry.
I think like one of the big differences between myself and somebody else is fear. I guess fear of failure. And once you get over fear of failure, because let me tell you, folks, I've had some big failures in my life, that's for sure. I mean, when I opened up that jewelry store, I mean, it was a small jewelry store. I didn't open up a huge store, but it was still a lot of money. And I sold fine jewelry. I wasn't selling costume jewelry. Everything I sold was 14 or 18K or sterling silver. And a lot of it was, handcrafted jewelry. So it was a lot of money that I lost. But I think that that's the biggest thing is fear. And once you get over that fear of failure and you can get over that negative talk and get out of that, surround yourself with some positivity and, folks that are supportive. And you don't even have to have folks that are supportive. You can support yourself. You can be in that positive mindset. I think that it's the biggest thing between people wanting to do something and actually doing something. Because often we are our own biggest obstacles. But there's also so many other business products out there. And I have a lot of that type of background knowledge. Like I know that there are, business equity loans that you can open up. Like some people, okay, so like, if you own your own home and you have, your mortgage, which most people do have a mortgage on their home, you could do like an equity line of credit. A lot of people have heard of those, like a HELOC. Mm-hmm. Instead of doing a HELOC, you could actually do a business equity line where you are using your primary residence to have using that equity. So it would be a revolving line of credit. Typically on those types of equity lines, you have a revolving line of credit for around 15 years. And then at after that 15-year period, if there is a balance on there, then it amortizes and it's no longer revolving, and it will turn into a fixed payment so that you can pay it off. But, if you are very good with your money and follow lots of Danny's advice, which she probably would not tell you to do a business equity line of credit, but as a former banker, I would have loved to have sold one to you, and I sold lots of them. If you need equipment for your fees business or, all that kind of.
And I think that's a good point to bring up, because a lot of businesses take a lot more capital to open than a private. And guys, when I say capital, I mean money. A lot of business take a lot more investment to open than an SLP private practice. Like that's something I talk about in the ebook too, which is super awesome. Like you can definitely start big and all that stuff, but like you can just start out with like maybe, like $1,000, like to get all your stuff together, because we're the magic sauce.
Yes.
Like
you are the magic sauce.
Yes. Like, and I've said this before, my best friend is an optometrist.
Yeah.
She could not even take a sniff of opening up her private practice without at least $100K.
Yeah.
Because of the equipment, like she has to have an office space. She needs all this fancy equipment to like peer into your eyeballs and soul and things like that. But like that is not like the opportunity that we have in this field because of the low startup costs. Sorry, I went on that rant.
No, I totally agree. And let me tell you, so for me right now, since I do have a toddler, I've just been doing telepractice. And that's what my business is going to be. I'm just going to be doing telepractice from the comfort of my own home. And so if I need to step out whenever my toddler's having a meltdown, I can do that in between sessions. But so that way that keeps my overhead low. And there's still a pandemic going on, unfortunately. But also I did choose to go ahead and kind of niche down. So I am now an orofacial myofunctional therapist. I just completed the Myo method. I was a part of the first group to go through Hallie Bulkin's Myo method. I'm not getting paid to say that either, but let me tell you, it's awesome. And it's so comprehensive, because one of the things I liked about it is, as you know, since you're a myofunctional therapist, a lot of, you think that you have to be there in person to do everything. And Hallie teaches you how to do it, via telepractice, like how to do examinations via a telepractice. And so I was just like, this is awesome. I don't have to go anywhere. So until I get my caseload built up and get some money built up and everything, back into my business. And then if I want to go out and get an office space, then I'll do that. But for right now, I can just hang out and be here. I can just do it part-time. I can just slowly build up my caseload. You don't have to jump in head first. I mean, if you have that luxury, take advantage of it. Congratulations. I think that that's awesome, but everybody needs to do what's best for them. But by all means, like, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid, because as long as you believe in yourself, you're going to be successful, because it's all in how you make your clients feel, and when your clients feel valued, they're totally going to go tell somebody else. You could go to the park and pick up clients, y'all. I'm not even kidding. I was at the park. Had I had business cards, I totally would have give this family my business card. Like, the mom was apologizing because her son is on the spectrum. And I was like, it's okay. I'm a speech therapist. I work with kids. Like, it's totally okay. And I told her about all the great things that he was doing. And she was like, this is so refreshing. I totally would have been
business card.
Here's my business card.
Yes. Now, Marie, did you know that you can have a digital business card?
No, I did not.
So here's a little
more about that.
Yeah, here's a little business hack for everybody. So there's two things. So you can actually do a digital business card. There's like multiple places that you can, like multiple sites you can do it at, and you can send them. You essentially can text them a link, and you can put your headshot and all that stuff. So I've done that one. Another thing that a friend of mine who is a chiropractor locally showed me to do was to also, so I have my digital business card, and then I also have an Apple contact card, like when you say people's numbers.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the picture is my logo. And then I have my phone number, I have my fax number on that. And in the, just because you can put a description in a contact card, right? So I just put like, servicing Ascension Parish in South Baton Rouge. I specialize in, what you would essentially put on a business card or like the front of your whatever.
Yeah.
And like for me personally, because I'm the only therapist. Like I have a girl that I have as a contractor, but she only does early intervention. So when I get like insurance referrals and stuff like that, or word of mouth, like a lot of my kids, I'll get that way. Like it was two moms that were talking. I'll actually put like, you can text me.
Yeah.
And they can text that number because a lot of people don't want to call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has actually been like, I really haven't even used my physical business cards anymore, because then people can save your contact card.
Yeah.
And it's an easy way for them to share it with their friends.
That's awesome. Thank you for this tidbit. Like
little business hack for everybody.
It makes it easy too. Then that way they can just like click on your number inside their phone. Oh, click on the link.
Exactly. Or if they're like, hey, especially for my like babies, most of my referrals, I get referrals from pediatricians and one of the local dentists, but most of my referrals come from other moms telling moms, and then the body workers that I work with. I got a couple chiropractors that we work together a lot. And usually when they need one of us, they need the other, just with the way that infant feeding works. Because they're basically like a giant thing of Play-Doh Jello. But that's for another episode. So that's really where a lot of my baby referrals come from.
That's awesome.
Business hack. But I digress, because I don't want to take up your entire night, Marie, because this is just so awesome. I think there's a few people I'm like, I need a part 2. Like if anyone's listened to like it's like I think episode 2 with Tommy Teshima. I'm like trying to like get on her radar so she'll come on again, and a few other people. But before like I release you, what's like the last thing that like you want to leave everybody with, like as an SLP, like money, finances, business, like what's something that you wish, and you by no means do you have to answer this quickly, because I mean, both of us have a problem with doing that. But like, what's something that you would really just like want to leave everybody with, especially from the lens of you coming from this history of business, finance, male dominated fields, having failed in a business, which I think is fascinating. Some of the most confident people I've had on this podcast, like you, Hallie Balkin is another one. If you guys don't know who Hallie Balkin is.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're both of our names in the same sentence. Like I love her. And Tara Sumter too. Oh my gosh, I love you guys.
Oh, she's amazing. If I don't remember, I was able to interview Tara and Hallie. Go look at past episodes. They're both freaking awesome. But like you and Hallie come to mind. Like she had a failed business too. Like she failed with an online business that she attempted, and now she's got like 2 freaking super successful quality programs that she sells online. And like you failed in your first business attempt, but yet you, for whatever reason, you haven't let that sort of like taint your confidence and taint your ability to be like, all right, like I got this. Like, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you ever heard that acronym FAIL is first attempt in learning?
Have you not, but I like that.
One of the special ed teachers I worked with had that on her door, and that's fantastic. And I think that we need to shift our mindset from things that we fail at, and we need to look at it as learning experiences, because that's what all of this is about. And I have definitely had my fair share of learning experiences, and I even in grad school had a professor that you and I were both close to, and when I didn't get into graduate school the first time, he had me talk to those other people after I got into graduate school to help them out and help them change their mindset, because it's not the end of the world. I get it when you don't get in, or when you don't get into graduate school, or something doesn't work out. I grew a garden that summer, and I watered my squash with my tears by not getting into grad school. Okay. Look at the squash. It's so beautiful. And the cucumbers. This is the tears of not getting to graduate school the first time.
This is why we couldn't sit together.
So
I'm trying not to like egg this metaphor on. Like I'm trying to not so that
Believe
we don't
me,
get
and my
totally
watermelon.
Okay, so
But-
you have your crying watered squash.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, do not let that define you. Don't let it define you. Keep moving forward, keep growing. You know, like I was saying earlier, like it just breaks my heart that we have so many clinicians that are feeling the weight of imposter syndrome or feeling the weight of being burned out. And it's just like there's so many opportunities. Find something that lights your fire. There is something that you came into this field that you were really attracted to. All right. There is something. What aspect of that can you take and change it? And just be able to focus on that and get rid of all the other negativity. And, you know, and not everything is for everybody. And that is okay. That's something else I think that we all need to be okay with, is that I've had clients in the past in banking and in speech therapy. I've been like, I may not be the clinician banker for you. And that's okay. You know, maybe you need to see somebody else. It's okay to refer them on to someone else. But that's one of the things that I'm so drawn to about private practice is that guess what? Nobody is going to come to you one day and be like, oh, well, we're in a pandemic and we don't have any, you know, you can't see anybody right now. So, you know, we need to furlough you or whatever. You're not going to do that in your private practice. You know, you're going to adapt and you're going to change and you're able to focus.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's up to you. Like you're not just sort of you're not handing all the responsibility to someone else, which it is a responsibility. Like
it is.
Don't get us wrong. Like it is a responsibility, and even that isn't for everyone.
No, it's not.
Like that is not for everyone.
No, it's not, and that's okay too. Like we need some of our peeps in the school system. I think one of the biggest problems that we have, I think that we need better advocacy for us.
Yeah.
All the way around. And I will tell you, because coming from someone, so yes, I have a lot of life experience, but I have also been married to a lobbyist who gets legislation passed. And I don't think our lobbyists are very good.
Oh.
So maybe we need to look at those industries that are getting good increases and not getting decreases and our rates slashed. Maybe we need to look at their lobbying firm.
Like, so this is actually like a project that I'm working on. I was telling this to, who was I telling this the other day? I remember I was telling this the other day. So I am actually like, I don't know if I'm going to make it a blog post or a podcast. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but looking into the financial and even just comparing how ASHA spends their money, how AOTA spends their money, and how APT, is it APTPA?
I think so, yeah.
APTA. So the, SLP, OT, PT, how the differences in how they spend their money.
Absolutely.
Because I'm very curious. I'm not making this claim. This is my hypothesis.
Yes.
I'm curious about what percentage of the revenue is spent on lobbying. My former boss, who was an OT, that is actually something she said to me. She was like, y'all must not have good lobbyists because y'all's rates are not as good as ours.
We don't.
That's why she was like, I wish you could have 1 hour sessions, but we just can't, which I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Cause we don't have units anymore. We're time.
Yeah. No time.
But that was something she said to me. And that's like, she said that to me like 2 years ago, but that's something that's always stuck in my head. And I've always I was like, I need to do this research and see like, okay, what percentage, because ASHA generates a lot of revenue we are mandated to pay these dues, whereas AOTA and APTA is not. It's not
Really?
mandated. No, it's not mandated. Like, okay, it's not mandated like for you to practice. Like for us, I
Yeah.
mean, in CCC, you
Is
need that.
everything. It's the gold standard. You're
Yeah,
like, you're nothing without it.
they don't have that. No, no. Their bodies don't like provide like a like some sort of certification that essentially you need to pretty much practice.
Wow.
So I mean, technically the CCCs aren't mandatory, but it's going to be
Yeah.
pretty difficult for you to get a job
Yeah.
without it.
Right.
So you have to pay
Yeah.
$225.
Yes.
But that is like a research thing that I want to do. And I would be very curious what, like, I know nothing. Like, do you know a good bit about lobbying?
I've definitely watched and maybe even helped a little bit at certain functions push some legislation through.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody that has several pens on their desk. Well, he doesn't do lobbying anymore, but from different bills that have been signed. So at the state level, yes. Federal level, which is what we need,
Yeah.
is definitely, is a different ball game. But let me tell you, K Street is right over there. K Street is where all the lobbyist offices are in DC. So
Like,
whenever you have like lots of retired senators or House members and stuff, a lot of them get offices over in K Street and become lobbyists because they have the internal connections. That's how it works.
so is that how you become a lobbyist? Like you just need to know people. When you know enough people, you can get paid
You can
to
become a lobbyist either that way. If you are an intern and you've been like clerking different committees within Congress and different things like that, you might wind up working for a law firm. I mean, clearly they want you to, be an attorney and have your, what is it, your JD?
JD. Yeah, your JD.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I thought about taking my LSATs and stuff, but this sounded better. So I became a speech
This was
therapist.
more fun.
They told
Okay.
me I could play with Legos and get paid for it. And I said,
Right,
yeah.
right. See now, like because I'm very curious about that because I feel like people always say I want more advocacy, but I don't think anybody, even myself, like I don't really know what that looks like,
Yeah.
especially like in the political sphere. Like that is like woo way above my head.
Well,
Like
it
I
doesn't
don't.
need, I can tell you one thing for sure is it doesn't need to be slanted. It does not need to go down party lines. We need to be on both sides of the aisle. I can tell you that. And I know that politics right now is extremely divisive. And I'm sorry
Yeah.
that we're going down this rabbit hole. But folks, money is money and green is green and care is care. And we need to get both sides understanding. Maybe we need more of us running for office. Maybe we need more of us to be educated in that so that we can network within these environments. Because guess what, folks? The people that are there that are representing us, state level, federal level, they are often just very much average people. They don't have all the background knowledge and all the stuff that they're legislating. We need to be there to educate them. Maybe if we already have a seat as at the table as a representative there, then maybe it would help elevate us more. But I mean, and you also have to have that personality and that you have to have thick skin.
Yeah, that
Folks are
drive.
going to write about you. They're
Yeah.
going to write about you. They're going to lie about you and all that kind of stuff. And it can be hard, and I could definitely see how a lot of us in professional fields where we have licenses that can be
Yeah.
affected tend
Yeah.
to shy away from things like that because we don't want our livelihood
Yeah.
affected. And I totally get that, but we need to have a seat at the table. And we've had like more women than ever like voted into office in the last election, which I
Mhm.
thought was phenomenal.
Mhm.
But I definitely think I'm a little frustrated that we haven't had a female president yet. I'm not going to get into like the candidates that we've
Yeah.
had and stuff like that. And I'm saying is that for me as someone who's half Filipino, so we've had several female presidents in the Philippines, even though that's a very male dominated society and whatnot.
Interesting.
I mean, even in the UK, they're very, I mean, heck, they have lords and stuff like that, people with castles, and they've had female prime minister. I mean, like,
Yeah.
really?
I never
And
thought about that. Yeah, I never really
yeah,
thought about that way. How like we haven't. or even a female. And again, like we're not talking about like which females you all like.
Yeah,
Or whatever
no, I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
Right. But like the fact that, I mean, I think wasn't Hillary Clinton was the first one that actually even made it to the final election.
Final. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I think
crazy. I didn't realize that. Like she was the first one even to get as far as she did.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I never thought about that.
And
never,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, it never occurred to me, like the idea of even like SLPs getting involved in legislation, because you're right. I think it's we have licenses to protect, and we have like our reputations based off of quality of care.
Yeah.
And that can get very sticky, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the things that I think that we need, the people that we need to target to advocate to, are we need to find out who the representatives are that work in the education system, because there are teachers and superintendents that are there. We need to find out who are the representatives and senators who are in the medical field. And we need to advocate with them, because at least that would be closer to they would be more familiar with us and our positions, and have enough background knowledge to where that we could push them a little bit harder. Does that make sense? I'm not going to say that we should go over to the gunsmith's office and be like, hey, I know that you own a gun store, but I need you to and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that, but that person, it might take them a little bit more
than understand. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
That's what other professions do. That's like, especially like doctors. I mean, there's a lot of legislation and there's a lot of controversy in the medical field, especially as you're getting all these subsets.
I want their lobbyist. I want the insurance company's lobbyist. I want their lobbying firm. Why don't we have their lobbying firm? They're getting things done. Who is getting things done?
Yeah.
Like, that's the firm I want to go with. Yeah.
Interesting. But you're right. Like that is because I've had this discussion with my brother before. He's a psychiatrist, and the discussion even of like the psychologists and psychiatrists, and how like a lot of it's a red tape thing. And like, there's like a lot of MDs kind of want to keep that the standard, and making sure that there's all these policies and things in place to where that the MD is still considered the standard. And everyone else, like you have to answer to them and things like that. That's just, like that's fascinating. I never really thought of it that way. We're gonna have to have another episode about that. That's fascinating. Okay. All right, Marie, we could talk forever. Seriously. Okay. I'm not going to take up all your time. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have a sweet, sweet toddler lady who looks just like you to get back to. But any final words or thoughts that you want to leave us with before I release you?
Oh yeah. Just do the dang thing. Just do the Danny. Do the dang thing. Do it. Get out of your head. You're not an imposter. Don't forget you have a master's degree. Approximately 13% of our population here in the United States has a master's degree or higher. Do you know how much further that puts you up over over everybody else? 13%, people. You are educated. You can do it. Maybe you need to gather a little bit more information, but you can do this. Just do the dang thing. Get out of your head and just go do it.
Like if y'all are watching this on YouTube, I've been like kind of doing a little like Rocky dance grooving thing. Yes, I love it. Well, I cannot wait. I think what I'm going to do, I've done this with one other person I've interviewed, and it's been super awesome. Like a follow-up episode, like maybe like a year later or something like that, to see, because I'm very curious to see where you are just like strategically with your business, a year, year and a half, 2 years from now. I'm very, very curious to see what you do and what you accomplish, because I know it is going to be awesome.
I put out a book. I put out a book to assist with therapy. So I'm going to put out a whole series of those.
Wait, you wrote a book?
It's a coloring book. It's not like a book. It's like a coloring book to practice sounds at different varying levels.
Okay, well, we're going to have that link. We'll have that linked in the show notes. Why do you wait till the end of the episode to tell me this, Marie?
No, because I'm going to put out a whole series of them, and I've only got K and G out right now. So it's one of those things.
Okay, well, that's going to be linked in the show notes description because Marie's going to send me the link. Okay. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been like so fun. Just you can tell that we know each other. We've just been like cutting up this whole time. But thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and sharing your experience. And we will definitely be having you on again for part 2. Because a sequel, because I really want to know where you're going to be in a year with your business and these books that you just freaking told me about, and I'm upset with you now. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, Marie.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to hear more no fluff, getting the dang thing done stuff from myself and other real life SLPs, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or pledge a small amount on patreon.com/SpeechGoods. If you found this content valuable, please share it with others so we can get this message out there. And if you haven't already, join us on Instagram. Handle is @SpeechGoods. See you there.